whatever you're searching for, it is not out there. What you are cannot change. Your natural state is that which is. We're back with another reflection, talking dat Vedanta. And today's reflection is on this phrase that you'll hear at the ashram that Swami will use in lectures of nothing happens. And I highly recommend. The last episode was on pile driving, and I'm going to pile drive. That the links in the show notes, especially Vedanta Treatise, this book will change your life. Just unbelievable, simple, easy. Just read the first 3 pages. See if this James guy is full of S or if it actually does. Read the first 3 pages, see if it speaks to you. It is sadly expensive. It's like $50, but man, $50 to improve your life. That's an inexpensive investment. That is not an expense. But all of these links are in the show notes. And this philosophy around this, the concept that I'd love to reflect on with you today. Nothing happens. This is something that Swami will say in various lectures. Nothing happens. He'll say it when people have some choice to make. I referenced it in the last episode, and he will just say like, oh, make whatever choice you want. Do I get married? Do I not get married? Nothing happens. Should I do this business, go down this road with this business partner? It might blow up. I might lose my money, and nothing happens. Nothing really happens. Not just from the philosophical perspective of the deepest philosophical point within this philosophy, tattva masi, you are that, you are it. You are that which is. The deepest philosophical truth within this philosophy, that what you are cannot change. Your natural state is that which is. It is changeless and eternal. That's the deep end of the pool. Shallow end of the pool, where it still applies, is if you make unwise decisions that destroy worlds, does it matter what suit you're wearing while you destroy those worlds? If you have no capacity to see the end in the beginning, if you have no clarity in the decisions you make, does it really matter which partner you work with for a new business venture? Even if you make $1 billion, does that really change anything around your inner state? From the upside to the downside, if in this external world, if things change but nothing changes internally, did anything really happen? From the practical realm, again, not from the absolute or the philosophical realm, from the practical realm, our entire realities come down to what we give our attention to. You get $1 billion, it's not all it's cracked up to be. The example that I gave in the last episode is friend and co-investor in a bunch of companies together, Justin Kahn. He's talked openly about when he sold his last company for $1 billion. This was 10 years ago. When he sold it for $1 billion, he was in bed for 4 days, depressed, right after this incredible professional milestone that he was pursuing every day of his life leading up to that point. That is an example of nothing happening. Another one, on the upside, if you have that clarity. Best surfer in the world, John Florence, when he won his 2nd world title. He's coming off the waves he just scored his epic scores on, wins the title, and he's coming up the beach, and reporter asks him, what does it feel like to win your 2nd world title? Everybody's cheering, people are throwing things, people are shaking champagne, and he looks like a stoic badass, a philosophical badass, a Vedantic badass. Surfers are they're on a different frequency and their approach to life in so many ways. Maybe it's because what they do is so damn dynamic. They have to get there, as opposed to, if you're trying to stay safe all day long, you're not thrown in the crazy car wreck that is 10, 20-foot waves. You might not need to achieve a certain level of zen to be able to do your craft like a surfer does. But he looks at the reporter without missing a beat and he says, nothing changes. Just won his second world title, said nothing changes. I've been surfing every day of my life since I was 3. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go out and surf with my brothers and my best friends. Nothing changes. Nothing happens. I think it's integral to know in that story that was when he won his second world championship. The illusion that things were going to happen finally change. That inner satisfaction was going to be finally met with a world championship. Maybe he had that in the first time that he won that world championship. But he had exhausted that illusion for the second go around. Nothing happens. In the last episode, I talk about how this is one of the more subtle points within Vedanta. Maybe a more substantial way of talking about this is that whatever you're searching for, it is not out there. Peace, happiness, freedom, these are not external states. You could, quote unquote, live in a free country and be chained to a desk. You could be chained to a desk working 80 hours a week and be completely mentally free. That external side of things has nothing to do with the inner states of being. Peace, happiness, freedom. And our confusion and oftentimes self-sabotage comes from thinking, it's about external states. If I fix the external states, if I fix the out there, I'm going to get it all in here. But it's not out there. And whatever you rearrange, change, replace, swap out there, nothing happens. That's what we're told within this philosophy. And that's what has mapped to my experience in life. Sure, there are certain things externally that can give you temporary moments of bliss. Birth of a child. A really hefty drug binge. But these are not permanent. If anything, whatever the metaphorical equivalent of a drug binge might be, the workaholism? Yeah, the workaholism of chasing $1 billion comes with a hangover, thinking that your child is going to give you all of the satisfaction, fulfillment you've been looking for, instead of the sleepless nights, the disobedience, the reflection on yourself of all of your own shortcomings that it often is. Thinking that it's going to fulfill you, finally give you that satisfaction, fulfillment inwardly that you've been chasing. That is the illusion that someone without kids typically has. I don't know anyone with kids. I'm sure there are people out there that say this, but I don't know anyone with kids in our community with kids that says that, that solved all my problems. Certainly has not been the historical account that societies have pointed to over and over again. Said, yep, kids solves all your problems. That's the reason to have them. It's going to solve all your problems. It's going to fix your inner state. We have 3 wonderful little daughters. Nothing happens. in the last episode, mentioned that these concepts, especially on the subtler side, maybe they don't speak to you at a certain life stage. You feel strongly, no, when I get that job, that relationship, when I hit that professional milestone, things will happen. Shifts will be made. Inner satisfaction, peace, happiness will be achieved and unlocked. And if that's the case, as you hear this, you're like, no, things do happen. Changes are made. Maybe you go through one of those experiences. Maybe you lose a loved one, as I've touched on in episodes past, where you realize either that external positive had no real lasting benefit on your inner state, or that external negative also still had no real bearing on your inner state. It's actually quite beautiful, epically beautiful to discover that latter point, but just as powerful to discover the former. Before you get to a place where you say, it's not out there, and it's not the perfect arrangement of all of the things out there that make me feel a certain way in here. As the Zen Buddhists say, the Zen you find on mountaintops is the Zen you bring up there with you. And within this subtle point, there's a lot to reflect on, a lot to reorient our lives around. Then nothing happens. And if you are like myself, certainly in my 20s where I thought I was doing everything right and I was destroying myself, as is said within this philosophy, unwise actions destroy worlds. That workaholicism, that $1 billion, maybe that destroys your children's lives because it is either unwisely attained or unwisely stewarded. And if you are going around just flying your plane into people's worlds and destroying them, if that's what's happening, then what does it really matter if you have more fuel to do that? What does it really even matter if your shirt's on backwards? Does that really matter? Or you're flying high above the clouds, above any storm, any shift, any earthquake, or catastrophic shift in the weather, and you're just above it all. Nothing can really touch you. And your shirt's on backwards, like mine has been this entire episode. Does it really matter? Whatever that direction is that you find yourself in or have found yourself in, even after it, you fly above the clouds for 10 hours. You accidentally destroy a world around you through unwise action. The beauty and horror of it all is, at least according to this philosophy, nothing really happens. And on the absolute side of things, because I'd be remiss to not mention, that's on the practical, relative realm. The absolute plane and the absolute realm of things, who you truly are, which this philosophy tells us, and I recount in episode 1 of this podcast. Who you truly are cannot change. Who you truly are, not who you think you are. Not all of the illusions we're under, but at our core, tattvamasi. That which you truly are cannot change. Thank God. Because if I were able to take the reins and change things, it would only be for the worse. But when we let go, drop into who we truly are more and more each day with our exposure to knowledge, reflection, community, your shirt can be on backwards and you can be having a ball the whole time. That's today's reflection. on the Daily Vedantic. And if you're only listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you got a nice little treat if you check it out on YouTube. We'll see you next time.